Welcome in to another episode of the Real_G Warner on Twitter, going through the European soccer slate. As you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, please go follow me on YouTube. Griffin Warner is my channel. Been working on my my backgrounds. Unfortunately, if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, you probably can't see it. That would be amazing and magical if you could. But trying to display the two soccer jerseys I own that are club soccer teams. Gonna add some more. Just got to figure out which ones to get, and a lot for European shipping because no one works in the summer or works in general over there. But I guess that is my U.S. flag flying, and I'll probably stop doing that. I don't actually have a U.S. flag for those who are listening. Without further ado, we'll get to, before I get myself in more trouble, I'll go to the Premier League because that's where the money is. And this is going to be a long podcast potentially. I'm going to go through, I have it called Permutations on StreamYard, or if you're watching on Twitter, thanks for coming. But going to try to go through kind of who's got what to play for, because there's a lot of teams that are planning their summer vacations, could call them on the beach, if you will, though the temperature's not good enough in Europe for that, unless you're in Sardinia or something like that in Italy. But without further ado, I'll start in the Premier League on Saturday with Brentford hosting Southampton. Currently, Brentford is a quarter goal favorite with most of the juice right now. As an underdog player, that means, do I want to back Southampton? Looking at the table, they're right next to each other on the same amount of 40 points, 8 points ahead of the relegation zone with only 3 matches to go. I guess it's all over the place because England canceled so many matches during this season due to snow, COVID, and other myriad reasons. But I think both are still probably playing for this one. I don't really see either of these teams giving up just yet. And Brentford in front of their home crowd, I'm sure will have a lot of gusto behind them and trying to really crown off a great season that will keep them in the league again for 2022-23. Southampton on the other side, I think are a more traditional storied club in the Premier League, but ultimately are not a great team to score goals. Brentford, not either. So I guess I do lean even harder to the road team, Southampton, because ultimately the only one team has James Ward-Prowse. Certainly Christian Eriksen is a great, it has been a boon to the Brentford offense, and really I think is what kind of spurred their effort to climb out of a relegation fight, which looked like it was on for a while this season. But from where I sit right now, I think I certainly lean Southampton, especially because I don't really believe in Brentford scoring goals. Current total on BetOnline is 2.5, which seems a little bit high to me, actually. But leaning Southampton, but not in love with it, and certainly would see a half a goal as a much different number than a quarter. Moving next to Chelsea hosting Wolves. Currently Chelsea a 1.25 goal favorite with all the juice right now. Wolves have really been playing so poorly lately. I'm looking to the side because it's one of my laptops. I guess I got the standings on. Wolves currently in 8th position, 3 points behind West Ham for the Conference League. So that makes me kind of think that Wolves are still playing for something, whereas Chelsea are 3 points ahead of 4th place Arsenal, 5 points ahead of Tottenham with only 4 matches to go. But I guess you could say that Chelsea still have something to play for. Likely a home match, probably should be a win for them, but as this line climbs higher above 1 to potentially 1.5 by the time this kicks off, based on how the juice is suggesting, that makes me like a Wolves team that I haven't backed in a while. Their offense has been really quiet for a lot of this season, really. They scored 33 goals in 34 games, not great, but they've only allowed 32. And I imagine they're going to sit back and try to defend like crazy, and Chelsea's offense just hasn't really been impressive. They've taken a lot of blows, whether it was their owner being forced to sell the club because of his Russian ties, or Romelu Lukaku just being a disaster ever since he showed up when everyone thought he was going to set the world on fire and was exactly the striker that Chelsea needed. And then Thomas Tuchel always doing his things. Chelsea certainly with FA Cup final on their minds with Liverpool coming up in a couple weeks, so I'm not sure that affects what the rotation will look like for this one. But we'll still have something to play for, and getting more than a goal from a Chelsea offense that doesn't look very good is of interest to me for sure. Next, we'll go to Burnley hosting Aston Villa. Villa might be one of those teams that are potentially on the beach sitting on 40 points. Probably can't get caught by Everton. I guess they could get up to 35, so they're not completely safe yet, to say the least. So, and people are certainly playing for jobs, considering Steven Gerrard moved in mid-season. Burnley, on the other hand, have moved out of the relegation zone somehow based on 3 straight wins and 10 points in out of their last 12 possible. Without Sean Dyche is pretty impressive. And from where I sit with them, currently, I guess I'll get to the number. Burnley getting a quarter at home with all the juice, which is understandable, and this one might fall to pick 'em, which is probably one that you want to look at and try to grab Burnley before that happens, because Burnley have been playing so well. Aston Villa, on the other hand, did get a win in their last match, but that was against Norwich, and I mean, everyone's beaten them. Worst team in Premier League every season, it seems, whenever Norwich are included. Villa, I think, have big goal-scoring problems, so seeing them as a road favorite just doesn't make a lot of sense. They get nothing from their striker, Ollie Watkins. Philippe Coutinho has been a good, I guess, omen, or has really showed his skills at times, but also has just kind of been quiet for a little while now. I'm not sure that you can really rely on Danny Ings or Emiliano Buendia to like somehow push the ball to each other accidentally in the box in the 92nd minute to score a goal. That's what covered the spread for them last weekend. But Burnley have been playing so well. I think getting a quarter at home is kind of the wrong team is favored here. So I like the home dog quite a bit and might even invest in that sooner, because Burnley don't see themselves safe, and they're going to play everyone they can, whoever's healthy. So I feel like, they're always taking a risk before lineups, but I feel like it should be pretty consistent with what they're going to play. So that might make my card today. Crystal Palace and hosting Watford still on Saturday. We got Crystal Palace, a 3-quarter goal favorite with all the juice. Maybe this climbs to 1. Watford looking like they're about to get relegated, lost 5 straight. Certainly not a prom queen by any means, but Crystal Palace did get a win in their last match, but they've been about as inconsistent as it gets. Certainly the home crowd's been a big deal for them, usually on Monday nights this season. They certainly don't have that available to them this time, but from where I sit, I hate to say it, I'm interested in Watford, especially if this hits +1. I'm even more interested. I don't know that they get a draw here on the road. They look like they're in the second division already and kind of been playing that way for a while. But Crystal Palace having to win a match by more than a goal seems like a big, tall task for them, which I don't believe. So we'll see if this one hits 1, which it looks like it's trending there. Brighton then hosting Manchester United. Currently Brighton at Pick'em with more of the juice on Manchester United, who finally got a win against Brentford on Monday, but didn't look really very good doing it. Their defense, I think, maybe if you want to look at one bright spot besides scoring 3 goals, was their defense was good. Brighton, they're going to try to possess the ball. They're sitting 9th in the table. Really, I guess they think they have an outside chance. They're 8 points back of West Ham with 3 matches to go. That's probably, I guess you don't give up on European dreams until they're completely dashed. But I think from where I sit with Brighton, if they move to a home dog of a quarter goal underdog, I think that would be interesting to me. I'm not sure, based on Manchester United's form or recent results or anything swirling around the club, that might happen. But I guess it's possible, and I'll keep my eyes out for that one. Now to the big one of the weekend, potentially, or at least of Saturday, is Liverpool hosting Tottenham. Currently Liverpool a 1.25 goal favorite with all the juice on Tottenham on BetOnline as we speak. Tottenham fighting for the Champions League spot, 2 points behind Arsenal with a match against them head-to-head on the road coming up. Liverpool 1 point behind Man City trying to chase that title. Liverpool had to play midweek while Tottenham rested on their laurels. Had to, I guess, dodge questions about their manager fleeing for Paris. But Liverpool had to play their best that they had. Was in a tight one with Villarreal on the road in Spain, so that's not exactly the shortest trip possible. Nothing in Europe's that far, in my opinion. But I got to say, I like Tottenham. They're about as inconsistent as it can be, but getting more than a goal from Liverpool, and that's certainly, fading Liverpool is a fool's errand, you could say, at this point. But they don't cover the spread every match, and they've had to rotate, as they did last week against Newcastle, survived, got away with it. They're going to be putting their best foot forward for sure. But Tottenham are going to get to play the game they want to. They've showed that they can kind of get some big results against good teams. Winning at Man City when they were in a terrible run of form a couple months ago was pretty impressive. Doesn't say so much about this match on Saturday, but ultimately Tottenham get to sit back and try to counter. Their defense will be protected by sitting back and not having to push forward. At least until that first goal goes in. I think you'll see some desperation from them, which does make that number of more than a goal less enticing, because you got to worry about Liverpool scoring first and then getting that second goal. But this isn't exactly, Liverpool's not hosting Crystal Palace here. Tottenham have great players. Heung-min Son was so good last weekend, and Harry Kane, while in a distributor role, not so great for Fantasy Premier League, but I think is really great for backing Tottenham because he's dropping back in the midfield creating, and that's an important thing to really get your superstar is really Heung-min Son. Getting him out there as much as possible is the most important thing. So I'm interested in Tottenham. We'll see what happens where this line goes. I can't imagine it's going to fall back to 1 though, because Liverpool, respect and money will be out there as the best team in the world right now. Arsenal then hosting Leeds on Sunday. Currently Arsenal a 1.25 goal favorite. Arsenal trying to stay in that Champions League spot. Chelsea within their sights, which is saying something, and could make this a 3-team race that Chelsea didn't feel like they were anywhere close to, and they'll get to see that result, and also Tottenham, who's 1 spot behind them. Whereas Leeds, on the other hand, are getting dragged back into that relegation spot, now tied with Burnley, but behind them on goal differential because Marcelo Bielsa just loved getting demolished. And unfortunately, that nervous energy is a big deal. Leeds, basically, they were all on the front foot or all out offense attack, wasting the energy as much as they could because that's what Bielsa wanted, and that put them in a tough position where I don't really know what to expect from Leeds. I mean, they got an initial bump from Jesse Marsch coming in, and then really the teams behind them have been winning matches that they either had in hand or just winning in general, where Leeds has taken some tough results, I guess you could say, but ultimately winning, 4 of the last 5 unbeaten. This is nothing to sneeze at for Jesse Marsch's performance, but they're in a fight right now, and unfortunately they're going to play Arsenal, who are about as Jekyll and Hyde as a young team can be, but getting more than a goal seems a little bit nice. All the juice currently on Leeds, maybe this falls to 1 before kickoff, but I just got to say, I think the pressure on Leeds scares me because I don't know where they get offense from, and I think we know that Arsenal can score. They definitely have problems defensively, but I don't know really that Leeds have the ability to take advantage of that. And maybe that was Bielsa's point the whole time. Next, we'll go to Leicester and Everton. Currently, Leicester a pick'em with most of the juice right now at home. Respectful for Everton considering how they've been playing. They've been fighting their way, trying to get out of the doghouse and the relegation zone. Really, it's worse than a doghouse for that because you get your club valuation slashed in half, essentially, if you go down to the championship. And all that sort of stuff. I probably don't even get into that. But Everton playing for something, certainly going all out for it. Leicester getting eliminated in the Europa Conference League on Thursday was pretty tough for them at Roma. So they got to come back from Italy, which is a pretty far journey. Still Europe, not that far, but ultimately much further than Spain or something like that as you keep going east in time zones and all that sort of stuff. I think from where I sit, I'm interested in backing Everton. I can't imagine they're going to move to a 1/4 goal underdog, or if they do, it'll be very expensive. But if that happens, that's of interest to me because I feel like they're going to be fighting and clawing and everything. Leicester, I kind of don't have much to play for or anything to play for anymore now that they're out of the Conference League, which they were selling out all their lineups for. They're safe in the league, currently sitting 11th on 42 points. Not mathematically safe, but pretty safe. Everton have stuff to fight for. Leicester, who knows what they're going for, trying to work Jamie Vardy back in, who was really quiet at Roma. Defense has been a disaster if they're not playing Johnny Evans and Fofana together. So I'll be keeping an eye on that Leicester back line, starting lineup, and seeing if Everton do move to that 1/4 goal underdog, as I'm hoping they will. Norwich then hosting West Ham. Norwich currently a 3/4 goal underdog with all the juice at home right now. They're relegated. Hard to know what they're going for. I can't imagine they're going to sit in and play defense. They're probably going to just go out there and try to score some goals, which is not a good sign for them because their defense is a disaster. But ultimately, they get to host West Ham, who come off a European elimination with Aaron Cresswell getting red carded for like the 3rd time, it feels like, recently. I guess David Moyes also getting a red card was kind of hilarious, but doesn't really matter because he's a manager and can't kick a ball on the field, but I guess could do it at the Frankfurt bench on Thursday. I don't believe or like West Ham at all, really, especially as a road favorite. But I guess it's not that big of a deal here because Norwich are probably a team you shouldn't back because you have no idea really what they're going to do other than try to win points, and that's going to put their defense in grave danger. Last but not least, we'll go to Man City hosting Newcastle. Currently, Man City a 2-goal favorite. Big number, especially coming off that amazing Champions League disappointment from surrendering 2 goals either in stoppage time or right around there to get eliminated from the championship that they really wanted, I think, more than the Premier League. So now they got to come back, regroup, lick their wounds. Certainly they've been playing well, of late, winning 4 out of the last 5, just as Liverpool have. And they get to see the Liverpool result, which is nice for them as well. But ultimately, Newcastle don't really score goals. I mean, have been covering spreads. I don't really think they've deserved for a while now. They're in mid-table after looking like they were a serious relegation threat. They did lose their last match, but that was the first one in a while and was to Liverpool. Tough matchup going against Liverpool, going against Liverpool and then Man City back-to-back. Rough slate, but ultimately they're playing for jobs. They've played, I think, a little bit more pragmatically than anyone was expecting under Eddie Howe ever since he took over. Getting 2 goals is a huge number, especially from a Man City team that haven't been scoring a ton of goals. I mean, you got De Bruyne and others that are clearly playing through injuries, and I mean, you never know when Gabriel Jesus is going to drop four goals on you. But ultimately, lean to Newcastle, getting 2 with all the juice on Man City, potentially climbing to 2.25, where it looks like it'll probably close. But ultimately, not exactly running out to fade Man City in a spot where they'll probably be as angry as you can be. Now moving to La Liga, we'll go with Levante hosting Real Sociedad. Currently Levante a half a goal underdog, which has climbed from a quarter. Real Sociedad still getting a lot of respect, which I don't really understand. They were road favorites at Rayo in their last match and really weren't that impressive. Got an outside the box goal from Alexander Soloth, which was, I guess, impressive because he could actually hit the target from time to time, clearly with that one. And that was a great finish. But they're sitting 6th right now in the Europa Conference League spot from Spain, 4 points ahead of Villarreal with 4 matches to go. In pretty good shape, but ultimately 5 points behind Atleti for the final Champions League spot. I mean, they have motivation, they have reasons to play, but they're ultimately facing a Levante side who are bottom of the table, 6 points behind safety, and will probably be going all out to score and win this match. So that is going to give Real Sociedad some opportunities, because I feel like Real Sociedad has really struggled to score ever since Mikel Oyarzabal went down with injury. They've been struggling to score against packed-in defenses. The nice part is they probably won't see that with Levante, though Levante have played that same way all season, and they've been clearly playing a ton better as of late. But another problem is that a lot of the teams around them have been picking up points, and they were so far behind and so far adrift that they're 2 points behind 19th, 5 points behind 18th, but unfortunately none of that matters because all 3 of the bottom positions in La Liga get relegated. So Levante's my lean, just based on I think that they're not as bad as their league position suggests, but they're going to have to throw caution to the wind and go forward, and that's a scary thing. It's Real Sociedad team that's really more talented, and certainly in the defense, where Levante has had big problems all year. Moving to Saturday, Mallorca, half a goal favorite at home to Granada. Granada in 18th, sitting on 31 points. Mallorca right ahead of them on 32. I don't think a draw is enough for Mallorca here, but ultimately would keep them 1 point ahead of Granada, which is a big deal, and ultimately would mean they could not be caught in this match day. And so there's big relegation pressure in this one. This is if there's ever a 6-pointer, maybe it would be 2 teams in the bottom 3, but ultimately it's like tied for 17th or 1 spot outside versus a team that's the highest ranked of the relegation teams right now. So I mean that's probably a relegation 6-pointer, and I'll move on from that topic. But Granada getting half of a goal on the road with all the juice, so maybe this falls to a quarter, but still that makes them in range for me to look at and consider as an underdog. Granada's had a really bad run of form. I mean, they've winless in their last 5. 3 of those have been draws, so at least been picking up some points. But Mallorca's gotten 2 wins out of that, so that's a huge benefit for them. Mallorca's goal scoring has been an issue. They did get one back from Barcelona in a 2-1 loss last weekend, and maybe that was a good showing. I'm not sure that it was great, but they were missing Moriki, who was suspended on his 5th yellow card despite joining the team mid-year. I mean, ridiculous. But you never know what a mid-season player is really coming in for, what his goals are, all that sort of stuff. Lean to Granada, just because Mallorca, as a home favorite, really struggle to score. The crowd should be out there and fully in support, but I feel like there's a track around the stadium, so I'm not really sure it's that crazy of an environment. So lean Granada, but we'll see what happens with lineups and all that sort of stuff. And really, I think you got to decide that Granada is worth backing, considering how bad they've been playing for a long time now, and the 3rd manager, I feel like, in the last month. Athletic Club Bilbao then hosting Valencia. Currently Athletic Club a 1-goal favorite, which is a monster number for them considering they like to counterattack. But Valencia sitting 2 places behind them. I think neither of these, I guess Athletic Club can see they're 5 points behind their Basque rival Real Sociedad for that last Conference League position. I don't know that that's, I guess it could extend a little bit further because Real Betis have already locked up a Europa League spot with their win in the Copa del Rey. So maybe that extends a little bit further and then a little bit more in the chase. I think regardless, they're a club based on pride, built with pride, that are going to be fighting to try to get into Europe. Valencia, they lost their chance in the Copa del Rey. They sit 8 points behind Athletic Club, and they are an on-the-beach team if there ever has been one. Giving that full goal of insurance is a big number for them. But the problem that Valencia have is I don't really know what to expect from them because they're going to be physical. I guess we know we'll expect that. But that unfortunately puts them in a situation where they take a lot of yellows, a lot of fouls, a lot of potential red cards, which is a big danger thing for, I feel like the Bordelais side always is looked at for that. Athletic Club, on the other hand, are going to use their pace. They defend much better than Valencia do. But I guess the big question is how many goals can Athletic Club score? And you're already giving one away based on this current spread. So, of course, I lean Valencia because I didn't make the number this high, but there's definitely big concerns for me on what Valencia will give for this matchup. Cadiz then hosting Elche in battle at the bottom. Elche on 39 points, 7 points ahead of Cadiz, who are 1 point ahead of relegation. So Elche, I think, are nearly mathematically safe. They're not yet, I don't think. But anyway, Cadiz currently a 3/4 goal favorite. A monster number for Cadiz to lay, considering they got relegation pressure. They definitely have the desire here. Most of the juice on Elche. I'll mention that before I get deeper into it. But Cadiz's offense, they've been it's been better under Sergio Gonzalez, but ultimately it's still not good. They still don't possess the ball a ton. Elche have been missing strikers for a long time, but Guido Carrillo came in and got a yellow card at the end of the match. As long as he's not suspended, that's important because they haven't had a fit striker that they wanted to put in the lineup available for a while. They've been playing Ponce, who's not really been what they've wanted. But getting 3/4 of a goal from Cadiz, who struggled to score, you lose half your bet if Cadiz win by a single goal. I think there's a really good chance that Elche get a draw here and even could win on the road. Cadiz have been so bad at home. So I'm interested in Elche, and this number seems way too high, and I would love to figure out why. I know that the Elche defense is not impressive, but nothing about Cadiz really is either. Celta de Vigo then hosting Alaves, who sit 19th in the table, 4 points from safety, so they need to win here. But they've been trying to play that way for a while. Celta de Vigo in 12th, probably disappointed in where they sit. Relatively safe, but they're going to control the ball. They're going to go forward. They're going to have the ball a ton. Alaves are going to have to sit back, try to defend. Probably see a point being the minimum they can get here, obviously, but we'll ultimately be trying to get a win, and that's a scary thing for Alaves, who don't really have much offensively besides Joselu. And I feel like this is a match that could get really ugly for him. So I'm not really one of the few dogs I'm not looking at, I guess, for this weekend. Next, we'll go Real Betis hosting Barcelona. Battle at the top. Had to scroll all the way up from the laptop. Barcelona currently sitting second, but the league has been won. They're one of those teams that, they're 10 points ahead, or 8 points ahead, of Real Betis in the table. Betis is the team that has more to play for here. They are 3 points behind Atleti, 6 points behind their Sevillan rival Sevilla, and I guess they already have Europa League in their back pocket because they won the Copa del Rey, so they don't really have to worry about Real Sociedad behind them at only 2 points behind. But they're probably going to go all out here, and that makes me interested in them currently getting 1/4 of a goal at home. Barcelona, with who knows what they're looking for, because they have all these kind of mid-season added players and all these guys that are trying to grab spots, but who knows with Xavi, if he's going to be around, considering their turn in form has been so bad, despite winning that last match against Mallorca. It seems like everyone was still out for Xavi's head all of a sudden. But Real Betis is getting 1/4 at home. It's a little shorter than I made it. That's what I would lean. Should be a pretty big crowd at the Santiago Villamarin, which I went to earlier this season. It was a really cool environment, except when they threw a cigarette at me, thinking I was supporting Bayer Leverkusen when they scored a goal. But c'est la vie. And moving to Sunday, we'll have Getafe hosting Rayo Vallecano. Two teams that look like they're relatively safe. Rayo actually further up the table than I scrolled too far down. They're sitting 11th, ahead of Celta de Vigo, which is an awesome season for them, and they've turned it around lately with 7 points out of their last 9, or 9 available. But anyway, Getafe giving half of a goal. It's a big number for them to lay because they haven't really done much offensively in a long time. They're kind of wallowing in the safety of, on 36 points, they could be caught. So there's some relegation pressure there. I think they feel fairly comfortable, but I don't really see them as a half a goal favorite, really deserving that type of number. So Rayo are definitely on my list. So they've been so bad away from home this season. Next, we'll go Villarreal hosting Sevilla. A big match at the top of the table, especially after Villarreal got eliminated from Champions League. Sevilla are pretty close to clinching their Champions League spot, which I did take some odds on earlier this season. One of those that I need to get across the line. I was getting a little nervous of late, and even after they drew Cadiz, not really great result for them last weekend. But they've been struggling with injuries. They've been kind of out of form and not playing very well. But Villarreal went all out with Liverpool midweek in Champions League. Would imagine their legs are pretty tired. However, Villarreal being a quarter goal favorite at home is saying something, which I don't really agree with, I gotta say. I feel like Gerard Moreno came back and played in that match for Villarreal and was not healthy, so I feel like he won't be in the lineup here. I think Danjuma was either suspended or I think was actually was injured and missed out, so I don't really know where the goals are going to come from. Sevilla definitely have not been a great side, and that awful loss to Real Madrid was really tough, but I lean to Sevilla here, getting a quarter of a goal. They got most of the juice right now, maybe that falls, but that should be a pretty good number because Villarreal, they're going to be running on fumes in this one for all that they put out for Liverpool midweek. Espanyol then hosting Osasuna. Currently, Espanyol is a quarter goal favorite at home, and I lean to Osasuna because really Espanyol have not been playing well at all. Osasuna's outperformed them over this whole season. Espanyol is a newly promoted side. It's just a big deal for them to be in the league next year. In terms of, they're on 39 points, so they're 8 points ahead of the relegation fight. That's pretty safe with a bunch of teams in between them as they sit 14th right now. But I lean to Osasuna. They've been better away from home than they have been at home this season, which is bizarre. All the juice right now on their quarter, so it might fall to pick them, and I probably wouldn't look any further at it. But as the number right now, I'm interested there. And then Atleti hosting Real Madrid, coming off that incredible comeback. Real Madrid with nothing to play for in the league because they've already won, other than, I guess, to keep their guys healthy. But it seems like Karim Benzema plays every match, so maybe he doesn't start again like he did in the last matchup, but they took care of business fairly easily, though against Espanyol getting every call that seems like Real Madrid always get. But Atleti have something to play for here. They were off midweek. They are getting chased by both Real Betis and Real Sociedad. They got a 3-point lead on Betis, 5 points on Sociedad, and this is a big deal for them. They're 3 points behind Sevilla, so they could climb the table a little bit with a victory here if Sevilla don't get anything at Villarreal. But Atleti, they spent so much money on their side that they really need Champions League, so we'll see what happens with them. But currently Atleti a quarter goal favorite with all the juice at home. Gotta lean to Real Madrid, but I think it suggests that they're not going to be playing anybody, or there's going to be a big, heavy rotation expected from Los Blancos, and we'll see what happens, but definitely lean Real Madrid as an underdog, even with little to play for, of course, depending on what the lineups look like. Moving next to Italy and Serie A, we have Inter Milan hosting Empoli today on Friday. Currently, Empoli a 2.5 goal underdog, which is a big number, considering they've scored goals this year, but their defense is not great, and Inter are chasing Milan, currently 2 points behind, on the same amount of games played now. So Inter have to win. They're going to be pushing forward. They're going to be, stepping all over Empoli. Unfortunately, if you want to back Empoli here, I think you got to almost believe that they're going to get a draw despite being 2.5 goal underdogs, because they're going to need to score and hang around with the Inter. All the pressure's on Inter, but it hasn't seemed to affect them much in recent years, and in this campaign especially, except when their backup goalkeeper whiffed a clearance and it went in the net. But ultimately, Empoli, it's a big number, so I couldn't blame you if you wanted to play it, but it's probably one that you should probably avoid. Over under 3 3/4, so a huge number. It might even climb to 4 based on the juice right now. So there's going to be a lot of goals, and that's a little bit more scary when you're backing a big underdog, because they're going to have to score with them. Genoa then hosting Juve in the nightcap on Friday. Genoa at home, a half a goal underdog with all the juice. Juve are pretty safe in Champions League. What are they fighting for? I'm not sure right now, which does make that appealing to go the other way on a home team that is trying to struggle their way out of the relegation battle. Genoa 4 points from safety as Salernitana just keeps winning, which is incredible. But Genoa are in a tough spot. They got a good, they've been so bad for so long, it's hard to really say anything positive about them. But they do have something to play for, which is of interest to me. I do worry that they're going to have to sell out for 3 points at home, and that's going to put them in a tough position against a Juve side, which are built to counterattack. It's probably exactly how Allegri's going to play today. and that scares me. I guess I lean to Genoa because they have a need, but that pressure is not a good feeling either. Moving to Saturday, Torino hosting Napoli. Napoli pretty safe in the Champions League spots, so there's some good teams here in Serie A that don't have really a lot to play for, just being better than their opponents. Torino sitting 10th. I don't really know in mid-table if there's anything that matters to them. They're going to try to possess the ball, and currently Torino a half a goal underdog at home with all the juice, maybe fall into a quarter. And Napoli kind of look like it's really hard to predict what they care about. So two teams that potentially are on the beach. The road favorite doesn't really seem like it's a great spot to make money on over the long term, but I gotta say Torino aren't either from where I sit. Sassuolo then hosting Udinese, another battle of mid-table sides, 11 and 12 exactly right now. But Sassuolo a quarter goal favorite at home. Crowd support really hasn't been there. They laid an absolute egg last weekend against Napoli in disgusting fashion. And Udinese has been playing pretty well. Most of if not all the juice is on Udinese, so maybe that falls to pick them, which is probably where it should be. So I lean Udinese getting a quarter because I feel like they've been playing better. They have an interest. Not sure after Sassuolo's poor performance last week did they really turn around and start playing well, but they were pretty disrespected in the marketplace based on the number, I think closing at 1.5 last weekend, which was kind of hilarious, but then they showed why it was so big and losing 6-1. Whereas Udinese, they fought against Inter. It wasn't a great day for them, but that's the side I'd want in that matchup. Moving to the nightcap Saturday, Lazio hosting Sampdoria. Lazio tied with Roma right now for 5th place, trying to get into the Europa League is a big deal for them. So this means something, whereas Sampdoria, with a big win against Genoa last weekend in the big rivalry matchup, which I feel like went the other way, but whatever. They are 4 points ahead of Cagliari, so they're in the relegation spot. So this is a match that matters. It kind of makes sense that it's the nightcap on Saturday. Sampdoria getting a goal and a quarter with all the juice right now, but they're not a good team. They don't play well. Lazio score goals. That's what they're good at. They don't really defend great, but I don't know that Sampdoria have anyone to really threaten them. So even getting more than a goal, it's not a number I'm really interested in, as Sampdoria I've had bad luck with them conceding late goals to lose by 2 at end of matches on this exact 1.25 spread. So I think that'll be easy for me to skip. Moving to Sunday, Spezia hosting Atalanta. Atalanta was such a disappointing year. They're only 3 points behind Roma and Lazio, so they've got stuff to play for. Spezia look fairly safe on 33 points, 5 points ahead of relegation, so I guess not that safe just yet if Sampdoria aren't either. But getting a goal and a quarter right now from Atalanta at home is a huge number. Atalanta haven't been doing anything lately. I mean, they've been big favorites. They've drawn their last 2 as big favorites. I like Spezia. It's certainly going to be an open game, but Atalanta just aren't the same team. They've got a lot of stuff going on with their club owners, their manager potentially not returning, selling off players mid-season, just not a really good culture to be around right now. And so Spezia are of interest to me in the early one on Sunday. Venezia then hosting Bologna. Venezia sitting bottom of the table, have lost like 9 matches in a row, basically look dead. They are a quarter goal underdog at home with all the juice to Bologna, who have been playing pretty well. I mean, unbeaten their last 5 and playing really well. I think it makes sense they're a road favorite, though. Certainly not the prettiest of them, and sitting 12th in Serie A, but I feel like their form has been way better than that position. Sitting 13th. Next, we got Salernitana, the hottest team in all of the world. It feels like winning 4 of the last 5 from bottom of the table, now out of the relegation zone. Incredible scenes. They're hosting Cagliari, who are they jumped in their last match midweek to get out of relegation, and this is going to be a big matchup. I mean, awesome match. Probably should be the nightcap on Sunday, but they would never do that without the 6 Italian sisters or whatever. I got based on the numbers and being an underdog player, I'm interested in Cagliari as a quarter goal underdog, though it's all the way juiced. It probably falls to pick them. And Salernitana, they've got a million miles in their legs. They've been making up a bunch of matches that were canceled or postponed due to COVID mid-year, that then had to go to a tribunal or something like that to allow them to replay the matches instead of Serie A, forcing them to forfeit. But it's worked. They've been winning all these matches. They've been, somehow getting 13 points out of their last 15 available. It's like half the same amount of points they almost had the whole season. Incredible. But Cagliari, they just parted with their manager, which is bizarre. I thought was doing good to kind of get them to safety, though they're not safe as we speak today. Only 1 point behind Salernitana does put them in a good position, I think, to be in position to make this a really tight match. I think Salernitana might even see a draw because that keeps them safe and ahead of Cagliari, being in a big deal, though ultimately they'll want to go for the win. That's kind of how they've been playing. And I probably would tip them more likely, especially at home. I mean, not a shocker there to say it, but Cagliari, they are going to have to really fight this one, and I like them as the underdog, but we'll see what happens because it's likely falls to pick by the time lineups come out. Moving to a Sunday nightcap, Verona hosting AC Milan. Currently, Milan a 3/4 goal favorite on the road, which is a big number, but they are leading the Scudetto race. They got that pressure, which is scary, and I feel like their offense has been pretty quiet for a while now. Verona, though, is going to give them a lot of opportunities. They're on 52 points, 7 points out of the Europa League and Europa Conference League area, so probably too far away. But they're going to be on the front foot trying to score goals, and that's going to give AC Milan the space that they need. However, if this climbs, juice right now is more on the Verona side for sure, but if this moved to +1, I think I'd be interested. I don't think AC Milan is going to really blow anybody out the rest of this year. They've got a lot of pressure on them. I don't think their offense is really firing. And Verona, they certainly can score and really throw something in Milan's face and make Inter, who have already played, and if they win and take the Scudetto lead ahead of them, that'll even put more pressure on Milan. So lean to Verona based on the current 3/4 number, especially at home. It's a big number for Milan to lay. Next, in Mondays, to wrap up Serie A for this week, is Fiorentina hosting Roma. Currently, Fiorentina a 1/4 goal favorite at home. Roma coming off Conference League midweek. I guess if they win that, they get to Europa League, but they're trying to fight their way. I guess they're 10 points behind Juve for Champions League, and they can't get there. So I'm not sure what Rome is going to play for, because they definitely want to, I guess have it not all riding on that Europa League final, or excuse me, the Conference League final to get into Europa League. But if they can do it in the league, I'm sure they want to. But Mourinho's got to worry about the legs that he rotated pretty heavily last weekend, and I guess it worked out because they got him to the Conference League final. But they took a draw, which is not great against Bologna. Whereas Fiorentina, they're 3 points behind. They've lost 3 in a row. Bad time to hit a bad run of form, though the market has loved them for a lot of the season. I think based on where I sit, or I guess a lot of the second half of the season, I'm more interested in Roma, certainly as the underdog. It's easy to say, but we'll see where this number goes and really what Roma puts out there on Monday, because a good chance they don't have a lot of their studs out there, considering the fixture run-in has been so many games, so little time. Now move to the Bundesliga. I know we're running a long episode today, but we're doing it because there's only a few weeks left. I'm going to finish on a high note. Bochum hosting Arminia Bielefeld, currently giving a 1/4 goal. Bielefeld are in big trouble. They're in the second relegation spot, and second to last, which is automatic relegation, whereas third to last, where Stuttgart's sit, is a playoff position. So that's a big deal. Bochum are on 39 points, 10 points ahead of Stuttgart, so they're safe of everything. So who knows? Maybe that means they're not going to put the full effort into this one, but I feel like that would be so anti the Bochum motto, because they have a huge fan base that are there booing that team and really just behind them, and they've had some great home performances this year. I don't expect that to subside just because they're safe now. Arminia Bielefeld, on the other hand, I don't know that they're looking that they need to get 3 points here. Does a draw? Unfortunately, there's 2 match days left in Germany because it's a much smaller league, and so if they draw here, Stuttgart have a big matchup with Bayern on the road, so they probably expect Stuttgart to get nothing from that one. But unfortunately, if they get 1 point, they're still 1 point behind heading that last match day, and that's a big deal for them. So I imagine Bielefeld might be a little more aggressive than you would expect them to be. Their offense, I feel like, has been okay in a counterattacking situation, and that's probably what they'll do for a lot of the match. But as that doesn't work, they'll probably have to push forward every second that goes by. That worries me, that a 1/4 goal, despite having a lot to play for, while Bochum don't. I don't know that that's enough for me, so I think I'll probably skip that one unless it climbs higher than the 1/4. Cologne on Saturday, Cologne hosting Wolfsburg. Current Cologne in the 6th place spot, 1 point ahead of Union Berlin, and 2 points behind Leipzig, trying to fight their way into a better European competition. They're a 1 goal favorite to Wolfsburg, who don't have anything to play for, sitting 13th, and took a lead and kind of conceded a late equalizer to Stuttgart, which didn't really matter to them because they're safe on 38 points. But ultimately, who knows what Wolfsburg are putting out there and how much they care. They're a good defensive side, but unfortunately, if they're not a defender here, then or if they're not planning to defend as a 1-goal underdog, that's the scary position to be in. Cologne, I don't really necessarily believe in their offense very well, but they taught me a lesson last weekend with a big win at Augsburg. And they have the momentum and that big, huge crowd behind them, which is one of the best in Germany. I feel like I need to catch a game there. I think based on getting that +1, it's a big number. Most of the juice on Wolfsburg right now, and that's the way I lean. We'll see where that number goes and what lineups look like, because Wolfsburg might be rotating, trying to play some young guys to give them some experience. Next, Greater Fourth hosting Borussia Dortmund. So many Borussias, so little time. Fourth are a 1.5-goal underdog with all the juice on Dortmund on the road. Dortmund sitting second. They're pretty safe to finish second. Doesn't really matter. They're going to be in the Champions League, but can't catch Bayern at the top. Fourth are already relegated, probably play an open game, and 3.5 seems like a pretty low number, though, for the total, though it's hard to really see fourth and know what they're going to do because they struggle to score and are the worst team that I've seen in the Bundesliga in years. Freiburg then hosting Union Berlin in a big battle for Europe. Freiburg a 0.5-goal favorite right now. Union, they are 4 points behind Freiburg right now. And with 2 matches to go, 2 wins, Union could be fighting for Champions League. Hilarious, but there's a big run for that 4th Champions League spot. Freiburg have been a great home team in their new stadium that they moved into mid-season. They've been great all around, just playing really good defense. I think that they're going to try to push forward with Leipzig only 1 point behind them after 2 straight losses. I think Freiburg are in dreamland right now. If they could get a Champions League, it'd be a huge win. And we got the jersey right there. So, been a supporter ever since Germany came back first during the pandemic. But I like Union here. With that said, and with the jersey behind me, Union are they kind of got through a pretty tough run of form. They've unbeaten their last 5 is pretty huge, and they've definitely been a better side after kind of having to regroup and kind of figure out how to play after all their players got stolen away from them on the transfer market in January, essentially, or really throughout the season. I think Freiburg, they've made their bed based on really good set pieces and playing good defense, which is exactly what Union were last season in their run to the Conference League, Europa Conference League. I think 0.5 goal is enough for me to want to back Union. We'll see what the lineups look like, but that's where I lean currently. Hoffenheim then hosting Bayer Leverkusen. Leverkusen in pretty good shape, sitting 3rd on 58 points. Hoffenheim have just been awful. No wins in their last 5. Including home matches, which should have been available to them. Had a lead against Freiburg, gave that away in the second half, and lost the match and fell behind by 2 goals. I mean, their defense has been all over the place, some due to rotation and injury, but a lot due to just players out of form, not playing well. And unfortunately, it hasn't worked for them. And I wonder if that's going to end the Sebastian Hoeneß term. It might have happened already. Might have missed it in the news this week. But ultimately, they're getting a 0.5 goal at home from Leverkusen, which is a pretty big number for Leverkusen, who are missing a lot of players due to injury. Patrick Schick has been back in the team, but not the same guy without Florian Wirtz filling him up, giving him as many passes in the right spots. They still have Diaby on the side, who's so fast, and that's a big concern because Hoffenheim's been trying to play Bebu on the wing or as a side midfielder, which doesn't really make sense to me because he's a forward attacker, and that I think has been part of why their offense has been not producing to the levels they'd expect because he's playing out of position. Their defense has been disastrous. Giving up 4 to Freiburg is a lot. But getting 0.5 goal at home is a big number for a team that's playing for something. They are 5 points behind Union and a full 6 behind Cologne. So, I mean, it might be that they don't have much to play for after this match on Saturday. But going into it, they think they do. And I imagine they're giving stuff, trying to finish the season on a good note. But I guess bad run of form, potentially likely out of any sort of European race, probably means that there's some questions about motivation for them, where Leverkusen, they know a win pretty much almost guarantees them a position in Champions League. So that, I mean, it doesn't guarantee them, but it's pretty close. So that's a big deal. So probably one that I should skip, though. Hoffenheim used to be a really good home team. Don't really know what happened. Hertha Berlin then hosting Mainz. Currently Hertha a pick'em with all the juice. And this is a battle towards the bottom. Mainz are safe, not even on the bottom part of the screen. They're sitting 9th on 42 points. They could be a beach team, though. With their manager, I feel like they're going to always be really aggressive, physical, and that's going to be a big question for Hertha that they can deal with it because they've been kind of soft. I mean, the big money Berlin club that's been wallowing in relegation fight, they're currently 4 points ahead of Stuttgart, so they are not necessarily safe, but a draw puts them, I think, nearly safe because they get to 34. That would mean Arminia could not catch them. Arminia Bielefeld, even with a win today, if they get a draw. So that's probably what they need. They know Stuttgart are playing at Bayern and are in pretty good shape to not get a point there. So Hertha can take this one a little bit more conservatively. I think if they move to a quarter goal favorite and Mainz are playing their best, that would be very interesting to me to back Mainz, because I feel like they are a team built on pride. We'll see what that lineup looks like, but that's the way I'd lean in that one. Eintracht Frankfurt on Sunday, then hosting Gladbach after a big win to get to the European or Europa League final, which is their only way really to get anywhere, because they're sitting 11th in the league, which is way below where they should be. Though you could say the same thing about Gladbach, 1 point ahead of them in 10th. Currently a pick 'em with all the juice on Frankfurt. Don't know what that lineup's going to look like, but I imagine there'll be heavy rotation after seeing Hinteregger get or leave with an injury, or at least sit on the pitch with an injury, and he's a pretty tough guy, so wouldn't do that. And Gladbach with a good result in their last match, unbeaten their last 2, which is saying something for a really proud franchise that has had a really tough year and is losing a lot of players. We'll see what happens with that number, but certainly the legs advantage for the road team. Bayern München then hosting Stuttgart in a match I've already alluded to quite a bit, but Bayern have already clinched the Meisterschale, and they are a 2-goal favorite with all the juice on Stuttgart on the road. Stuttgart can't score, so I don't know how they really hang in this one besides keeping Bayern München from scoring. I mean, maybe Stuttgart can get a goal on a counter or a headpiece, set piece, header, or something like that, but it's really hard to trust them to do that. And I feel like they're going to be sitting back as far as they can, 10 guys in their 18-yard box trying to keep Bayern from scoring, because if they get a point, that's going to put them in a really good position, especially if after knowing their Armenia result. But ultimately, that could put a lot more pressure on them too, depending on what Armenia do today. So that's a scary one. Feels like a little weird that they're not playing all at the same time, 2 match days before the end of the season, but I digress. Last one, we'll go Leipzig hosting Augsburg. Leipzig very disappointed to crash out of Europa League, and now are in a tough spot. They might not even make Champions League. I mean, I think they will, but they need to leapfrog Freiburg, who's a point ahead of them, and that's scary with only 2 match days left. They do host Augsburg, who've been a disaster of late. They're sitting 14th, and they're 6 points ahead of Stuttgart, so they're not fully safe yet, but pretty close based on that Stuttgart trip to Bayern. So here's where I sit with this one. Big number, and I like Augsburg because Leipzig are going to be dealing with the disappointment of getting knocked out, but also the trip back from Scotland and having to rotate. But the nice part about Leipzig is they're very deep, and they should be pretty angry. So that's a scary spot to be with Augsburg. Currently getting a goal in 3/4. Maybe if it hits 2, it becomes a little bit more interesting. But until that happens, I think I'm on the outside looking in. Last but not least, we'll go to France for Liga. We have one match today. We have Lille hosting Monaco. Currently, Lille is a half-a-goal underdog at home, which is a really big number, I got to say. But based on how Lille have been playing, I mean, they took a bunch of red cards or gave away 3 penalties in their last matchup, sitting 10th. Last year's Liga champions, certainly nowhere near that this year. Whereas they host Monaco, who've been great, playing very, very well. Who have won 5 in a row, best form, I think, of any European team. And it probably makes sense that they're that type of favorite, though Monaco struggled a lot, maybe based on the huge run of fixtures early in the year, and they hadn't really played a lot of players together because they had to bring a lot of new signings in over the offseason. But regardless, I'll skip Lille because I don't want to back them because they've been playing so poorly. Moving to Saturday, it looks like we have one match. We have Brest hosting Strasbourg. Big match for Strasbourg on 57 points. They're 3 points behind your Conference League spot, behind trailing Nice. Brest, not a great team, sitting mid-table, but they're safe, and that's their goal every season. Currently, Brest getting 3/4 of a goal at home is too big of a number, I think. So I'm going to be looking to back them. Though Strasbourg have been playing really well with their 3 strikers, rotating the 2 in at once, usually on the pitch. And they're a scary team to be against. But having to win by more than a goal to take my full stake is definitely something I'm interested in backing Brest there. Moving to Sunday, we have Metz hosting Lyon. Current Lyon trying to make a push for Champions League. They need to win out, essentially, or not Champions League, but European competition. They're sitting on 55 points, 2 points behind Strasbourg, and they believe that they can go for it. Big win against Marseille was a huge confidence booster, whereas Metz, sitting bottom of the table, had 3 points in their hand, but gave up 2 late goals to Montpellier last weekend, who have not been playing well. That was a huge gut punch. They've got 2 points from the last 5 matches, so that's really bad. And they are 8 points away from safety, 6 points away from the relegation playoff spot. That's probably what their eyes are on. They're going to have to go forward, try to score, and that's a big, big concern. Getting a goal in a quarter from Lyon is a big number at home, but they're going to have to go forward, and they have to get that first goal and likely have to get that second goal. I don't know, not enough for me. Clermont then hosting Montpellier. Clermont in that last safe position on 33 points. Could get caught by Saint-Etienne this weekend, only 2 points ahead. But they're going to play an attacking brand of football, I'd expect. Montpellier, with that good result, coming back to draw was... but they've been playing so poorly lately, so they're probably not a team you can back. Don't really know what they're out there trying to do. Pretty far ahead in 13th of 14th, but very disappointing season for them. And Clermont Foot have something to play for. I don't want to get in the way of... not that Clermont Foot needing results helps them. I think that hurts them more than it helps. Montpellier have been a disaster, and I want to look the other way. Reims then hosting Lens. Currently, Reims a quarter goal underdog at home. Just what a great season for them. They just keep beating the market, and it's awesome, and I love them for it. Lens are going to be tough because they are going to be on the front foot trying to score the whole time, which kind of reverses the home field situation, which is usually a favorite. But Reims getting a quarter at home is of interest to me, though they're less likely to score. I think they'll defend, and they seem like they're still into it. Sitting 12th, not a lot to play for, though, is a concern, whereas Lens, on 55 points, see an outside shot at getting to Europe. Angers hosting Bordeaux. Currently, Angers a quarter goal favorite at home, which is saying something because Bordeaux's defense has been so bad. They sit 27 points, 4 points from safety, so they cannot climb to that relegation playoff position, which seems like their goal at this point. I think getting to safety 6 points behind is unlikely with only 3 matches to go. Numbers seem short, so market likes Bordeaux. I don't agree. Lorient then hosting Marseille. Currently Lorient getting half of a goal. Marseille eliminated midweek. The Feyenoord home match couldn't score. Now have to go on the road. I guess this was the more important competition, Liga, based on pride. The nation there in France, but also they're in Champions League position, 3 points ahead of both Rennes and Monaco. A lot of pressure coming, though, because Marseille were way ahead and I've been watching the chasing pack really catch up to them. Lorient, on the other hand, are sitting in a pretty safe position, 16th, I guess. I guess they could get if Saint-Etienne win this weekend and Lorient lose, then they'll be on the same number of points, so that's a concern. A little bit better in goal differential, though. I think that Lorient are going to play the same way they've been playing for the 2 years they've been in Liga, which is sit back, defend, and try to counterattack. Terran Moffi is great, and they have other attackers like Loriente, who's good. I like the home team, especially on a huge leg advantage in a situation where they're going to have the better energy levels, all that sort of stuff at home, the home crowd behind them, knowing that if they get a good result here, they're probably safe. So that's pretty important. Whereas Marseille got all the pressure of getting chased in Champions League, and that's an issue. And last but not least, moving to Sunday, PSG have clinched the league a long time ago. They host Troyes, who are recently promoted side in 14th on 36 points. Not fully safe, but feeling pretty good right now, especially after a dominant 3-penalty goal win against Lille, if you can call it a 3-penalty goal dominance. But PSG given 2.25 goals, big number. All the juice on Troyes. Maybe this falls to 2, but I doubt it will because PSG always catches money. That's how it goes. Troyes have been pretty good at staying defensive and limiting chances. PSG, though, will exploit them, get a ton of opportunities, and even getting 2.25 is a big number to look forward to, or to basically cover your eyes from, hold your nose from for 2 hours. And I think that'll do it for this episode. Almost went an hour, which I think is pretty good for me. Hope everyone enjoyed what we're putting together, and got a couple more episodes coming up. Looking forward to trying to close out this season in the green, and I hope you'll be there for the run. You can follow me on Twitter, @thereal_G Warner, on YouTube, Griffin Warner, my website, avoidthemoose.com. Subscribe, like, do all those sort of things. I'm trying to build this as much as possible. Tell a friend. Happy to shout people out if you refer people. I'll somehow work you into the episode. Thanks for joining. Talk to you soon.
Recording stopped.